We're live, ladies and gentlemen. We're live. We're broadcasting worldwide. It is a momentous day right now, and the whole world is on the edge of its seat. If you've actually been studying geopolitical systems and the different power structures, the entire globalist paradigm is being overthrown. In a moment, I'm going to show you globalist leaders, George Soros and others, admitting they are suffering Napoleon Bonaparte level defeats at the Battle of Waterloo. This is devastating and turning back the clock on their world government tyranny 60 years and accelerating us towards the new Renaissance. I'm going to let people in on some analysis that I haven't told anybody yet, but I think now is the time. And this is so sophisticated that I haven't really talked about it because it's so complex, but it's also so simple. The United States created globalism. It created what is known as the New World Order. Robber barons manipulated our ruling class intelligentsia into doing it after World War I and World War II with the League of Nations and the UN in the name of stopping World War. But then in the last few decades, the intelligentsia and the families that went along with it, most of them aren't evil, they realized that the whole thing was a giant fraud and a huge lie, and that globalism was really a plan to destroy nation states, consolidate control, and destroy every level of independence. And so basically, the robber barons set up the global corporate governance to be commanded from England, the US, and Europe, and to depopulate the third world, to be run out of the West, but they meant to dominate the West at the same time. Instead, Trump and U.S. intelligence agencies and other patriots in the UK are moving forward, ladies and gentlemen, in a big way to roll that back up, to take control of those systems that were set up for the betterment of the planet and for real open free trade and real peace. And so the promise that the globalists first sold, but were lying about, they wanted the power for themselves, is now being taken control of, and then Trump is being a very square dealer with all of these people, and he is just point blank talking to them and being honest about the whole plan and saying, we just want to deal with you from a straightforward position. And that's why you see it all coming out. That's why 2 years ago you saw in the Financial Times of London and all the other top globalist publications that if Trump got elected, it would be the final domino falling to bring down their corporate world government that's anti-free market, that's not liberal, that's not open and free. It says it's all those things. It's the opposite. It's total centralization in their own words. So you've seen WikiLeaks come out from U.S. intelligence, not the Russians. And now you've seen Trump, now that he's proven Russiagate was a fraud and that Spygate is real, saying we should have the Russians in the G8. Obama set up the fall of Ukraine, overthrowing it, and triggered the Russians having to come in to take control of the area they've had for 500 years, where Russia was founded in the area of eastern Ukraine. All of this is now accelerating as the economy comes back, as sovereignty comes back, as political correctness begins to get its back broken. It had to happen because we were going into the end game of globalism, breaking up families, bankrupting people, making people poor, taking full control. Now, from a Machiavellian view, you could say this was all set up and sold to the world to make China and all these other countries think they'd be part of the world government and dominate the U.S., but really it was a globalist corporate plan to infiltrate them for their final takedown. That's not what was really being planned. The globalists were double-crossing us, moving everything to China. China was breaking all its agreements about military expansion. They were supposed to get the Panama Canal, all the deep water ports, all the major trade, 98% of the rare earth minerals. They were to dominate that, kind of the globalist rollerball model of an interconnected, interdependent world. The U.S. was to be this big global military police power, but deindustrialized. These are all mainline CFR agreements. But we were betrayed at every point by the authoritarian EU, that's the new Soviet Union, by the communist Chinese, who are the biggest mass murderers in history. Hollywood sold out to them because the left has a hatred for America and a hatred for Christians and a hatred for the West because they want to dominate it because it's more powerful and more beautiful than they are with their sick demonic culture of globalism. And so they openly want to destroy that. So that sickness inside globalism kept sabotaging even the better aims of globalism because it was always sabotaging the West that was the progenitor and the fount of all their great success. So that's been recognized, the cancer of the leftist, Saul Alinsky, communist globalism founded by the big foundations, funded by the Rockefellers and others, and their beef with Christianity, and their beef with the West, and their beef wanting to dominate it, subvert it, and control it as an act of dominance, because the West is so much open, so beautiful, so great, so productive, they can't compete with an open free market society. They are monopoly men, as John D. Rockefeller I said, and competition is a sin. So I'm going to show you amazing photos and amazing articles here for a few minutes that will totally and absolutely blow you away. We're checking out of this hotel right now. Was that the car getting here? Okay, we'll tell them we'll be there. And so I'm going to finish this up real quick, but more's coming tonight. I know it's already, 8, 9 o'clock at night, in the United States. I'm out here in the Pacific Ocean with my family, but I'm working the whole time because history is happening. But let's go ahead and go to this right now. Now, a picture tells a trillion words. The media is trying to spin this to make it look like, oh, Trump made them come to him, and oh, Merkel tweeted this. This is the EU globalists. Their bureaucracy is unelected, allied with the Vatican, allied with radical Islam, invading Europe. That's their open plan. Lined up against Japan, South Korea, leaders from Eastern Europe over here, and Trump. And Trump's there with his arms crossed saying, I don't care what you say. You invaded Ukraine. You overthrew Ukraine. And you made the Russians come into Eastern Ukraine, an area that they've controlled for 500 years. That's where Russia was founded. That's your fault. Things wouldn't have happened like this if I would have been president. And it shows how these people were set up by the globalists in the United States after World War II with the Marshall Plan. They were totally under U.S. control, but then we had our power, our money, our infrastructure transferred to them. We've been paying for Europe for 65 years. They were set up as the socialist, globalist utopia, supposedly to be our example, paid for by the robber barons that had full control of their nations when we took control of it with the Marshall Plan. Of course, Soros has called for a Marshall Plan for Europe again, trillions of dollars through him after he triggered the fall of the elected president of Ukraine, which he bragged about on Fareed Zakaria's program on CNN. So there it is. They're all basically on their knees to the king. And the media is calling him the king. Time magazine's coming out. He's not a king in that he's not elected. He's a king in that he is the final breath, and maybe a new breath, a new lease on life for the West, if we accept it and take it, using the real power, the real influence the U.S. had before it was fully transferred to the communist Chinese and destroyed. So Trump is grabbing, with the liberty movement, victory from the jaws of defeat. And all of you that are against America, all of you that hate flyover country, Bill Maher last night saying he hopes America falls apart and goes bankrupt. He actually said that. Says he hopes the economy crashes to stop this. Because these are all sympathizers and globalists hired and brought in and put in place to go along with the collaboration. You have to hate America to be part of this. Why should we sell out America? Why should we implode it? Why should we turn it over to the communist Chinese, all because they work with the Rockefellers? In 1949, our government put him in power. That's all declassified. So here's some of the other articles. Here's Drudge Report. Soros, everything has gone wrong. He says he's living in his own bubble. That's right, you're living in your own bubble. You thought you'd have a global corporate private government, he's a major Rothschild agent, and that you'd loot all these countries through oligarchs you controlled, and that you'd always be tax exempt, and you'd be above the law, and you'd pay, and you'd have diplomatic immunity. And then your son would be on TV at Aleister Crowley rituals. Half the Google images are him at Aleister Crowley rituals. And you'd be involved in all this horrible crap and funding cop killing and funding racism. And you'd bully me and sue me and shut us all up. And you'd bully Hungary and you'd bully Poland and you'd bully everywhere, every election. From Italy to you name it. They're overthrowing you. They're turning against you. You thought you'd march in 10 million Islamic age men the last 6 years and then march in 20 million after that? And let them rape and kill and say it's okay and use political correctness. You may have some of the Stockholm Syndrome people going along with it, but you don't have the general public. Humanity you thought was intimidated, we were asleep. Now we're awake. You pissing in our face and punching us in the nose doesn't intimidate us. It makes us angry. So that's on Drudge Report right there. Now, they always take our strongest points and try to make it look like it's weakness. But if you scroll down, they say here that one magnificent photo sums up Donald Trump's G7 visit. They try to spin it like this shows Trump is weak. No, in negotiation, they have no cards. They're bankrupt. They're a joke. We're in the best political position, the best economic position. They were planning on dictating, like the unelected head of EU, Juncker, the Nazi heir, said, I'll destroy Trump in 1 year. The communist Chinese president a year and a half ago went to Davos and said, I will defeat America with you. They all signed on. So this is the alignment of power. Communist China, with all of our industry and jobs moved there, by globalist design. They all brag about the Chinese century is over for America for 50 years. China, 800 million radical Islamicists, the EU, unelected bureaucracy, Hollywood, and the big banks. But none of that means anything when populations know you're authoritarian frauds. So there it all is, ladies and gentlemen. And that's up on Real Alex Jones on Twitter. Please retweet that image. This image tells everybody what they should know. Understand what's happening to Soros. Understand that they understand that yes, we are the rise of anti-establishment. You know what's scaring them in Italy and Brazil? They have coalition governments forming of liberals and conservatives against Soros, against globalism, against foreign banks, against these foreign outside groups running our lives. It is simply over the top that this is happening. People foreign mega banks that don't pay taxes are telling me about women's issues and telling me about gay rights, and while they bring in radical Muslims that throw us off buildings, wait, the economy's coming back. And how did Trump do this? Because there were artificial systems meant to make us poor to control us. Study feudalism. Search that term. Well, this is neo-feudalism. This is neo-feudalism. This is a new system, in their own words, of the ancient system. So Soros says, he recently admitted the rise of President Trump and the anti-establishment parties across the globe, saying everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. Soros made the comment in an interview with the Washington Post. This is a guy that overthrew more than 15 countries, looted their treasuries. He was known as a total criminal till the 90s. And then he spent billions in PR about what a great, wonderful person he is. Look, hey, Trump, what magic wand do you have to get us past a 3% growth rate? High unemployment, gone. Record low unemployment. Bad trade deals, gone. Paris Climate Accord, total fraud, one-sided for the West, gone. High taxes, regulations, massively cut. Obama's legacy, boom, boom. And for the next act, Hillary levitated into prison. Hillary for prison. Who launched that program? Yours truly. So people ask, how are we doing this? It's a want for freedom and a renaissance. And it's in corporations, it's in private individuals, it's in churches, it's in families of every race, color, and creed. It beats in the human breast, the desire. And it is in U.S. intelligence agencies and British intelligence agencies and foreign intelligence agencies, not at the top, but at every other level, that know the truth. The globalists thought they'd use the internet to control us and track us, and they got great power and made trillions off of it. But we woke up in the process. And humanity has bigger plans than the Rockefellers and all these people that are already dead and are in the ash pit of history. Their whole program thought we were such country bumpkins that we couldn't grasp big multinational systems ruling our lives from afar through different layers of bureaucracy. We had 1776 over a faraway king and fake courts ruling over us. America's instincts are against this. And that's all I am, is America's instinct coming back. And you look at that photo of Trump. He left. He was there a day and a half. He left just hours ago, and he said, trade war with all of you that have one-sided deals. He said, you say we're putting in tariffs? Canada, you've got massive tariffs. Germany, you've got double the tariffs. France, you've got tariffs. You cut those tariffs by half, or we're going to have a trade war. Oh, my God, you can't do that. We have no tariffs. They have a tariff. If it's a $30,000 car we sell, it's $60,000 when it translates to euros, same as the dollar. Euro's a little bit below the dollar. I mean, it's double. We don't put any damn tariffs on it. Germany puts emission standards, the EU does, that we can't even follow, and then they don't follow them themselves. It's all called a screw job. China's got dozens of ghost cities that millions of people could live in. They're just building giant highways and maglev rails everywhere off our money, off the $900 billion. And Fareed Zakaria goes on, Bill Maher, and goes, Trump just hates Chinese people. No, he hates communists allied with our globalist controllers screwing us over. And that's all these guys have got, parlaying. America in 1955 had half the world's wealth and was 4% of the world's population. 96% had the other Half. People go, oh my God, redistribute it. We could have distributed our ideas of capitalism to them, the better sections of it, and freed everything and even lowered population. That's in the World Population Report the UN put out in 49. They knew all this, but they decided on this path to exploit the third world, balloon giant populations, then turn them as leftist ideology against the West, and in reverse colonization, bring down the West, but have globalist corporations above the law separate from those corporations and separate from those systems above the law. And Trump is destroying it all with precision, with the patriots backing him and the original global plan of 1776 worldwide. But to lead that plan, America has to come back to dominance. We have to come back as an example of telling the truth where people can trust us. Suddenly everybody wants to do deals with us again because we're not treacherous. And then we could export our ideas and our technology and all the stuff we've suppressed. So the globalists have been holding back. They didn't give China 1/10 of what we got. I mean, America is the place. It's divine right, ladies and gentlemen. It's real. It's providence. It is manifest destiny. And InfoWars is part of that manifest destiny. That I would start InfoWars, that I would come out of Texas, that I would do all this without any people behind me or anything. But now it's all synced up, like they say on Bill Maher. I'm synced up with Trump because they are freaked out because I can tell you what Trump's going to say before he says it because it's all part of a mission that's next level. We don't have to write it down. We don't have to do anything. It's already there. The Japanese and the Koreans, South Koreans, everybody else need to line up against Trump. And when all the globalists in the EU and the communist Chinese came over, in that photo, they've already drawn the battle lines. They already know the truth. Here it is. The battle lines are drawn, ladies and gentlemen. The battle lines are drawn with Eastern Europe, the Japanese, the South Koreans, everybody with Trump in the United States, with the unelected EU and the Chinese. There's wider videos of Chinese communists. Anyways, it's all there. And the battle lines are drawn, ladies and gentlemen, and people are going to decide what side they're on. All we want is fairness. All we want is free market. All we want is an open society and not to be overthrown by the guy that calls his group the open society because it's the opposite. Soros is a devil. Whatever he says, it's the opposite. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this live transmission. Trump is delivering. He's representing America. But by doing that, it's killing the big global parasite that set up this unequitable system to hurt nation states and hurt individuals and transfer all power to megacorporations to establish an authoritarian world government. More coming tonight at Infowars.com and Newswars.com. History is happening now. Do you recognize it? Trump is winning. Infowars is winning. You are winning. And to all of you brainwashed by the enemy, whether you believe me or not, you've been conned, and you're going to feel like fools later when you understand that Trump was saving this country and that we are saving this country and that we are launching a bigger plan. Thank you for watching.